Thanks, Evelyn, and I can see some people starting to use that chat already. At the moment, we've got people in Poland, Bermuda, Portugal, Leicester. Okay, so I'm really pleased they'll work. Oh no, it's Bermuda again. Amazing. So I'm really pleased to see you all here today. And I appreciate that for, well, at least those of you in the UK, we're after school time now, you're getting ready to head home. And you'll be pleased to know I don't intend to keep you here for the whole hour today. I'm going to go through as much as I can, and there will be plenty of time for your questions as well. So most of this has been covered already, but mics and cameras have not been enabled for this session, so please use the chat and the Q&A functions to ask questions of me and to interact with each other. I'll try to address these as we go, but I may leave some of them to the end. So please do feel free to comment your thoughts and experiences in the chat as we go. I'd like to hear from you about what you need and your best practice. I feel lots of time into this session, questions and comments, so without these, we'll be done pretty early. This session will be recorded and put onto our YouTube channel, but that might take a few weeks for that, but it will be available for you to share with colleagues if you need it. Just checking the chat and seeing a couple of people saying I wasn't here. We'll just try and see if I can change something and see if that makes it any better. So is this any better or any worse? Can you just let me know in the chat if that's better or worse, or if you can't hear me at all? Better. Thank you. Right, okay, we will leave it there. Much better, I won't touch it. Perfect. Okay, thank you for that. Really appreciate you telling that early on rather than wasting an hour of you not being able to hear me. So let's get started. Let me bring my notes back up now. We've messed around with the microphone. So a quick introduction. I'm Rebecca Waker. I'm the subject advisor for languages here at Pearson Edexcel. I was a language teacher for 8 or 9 years, as well as being head of department, lead practitioner with an interest in whole school teaching and learning, until the point that I joined Pearson in January 2023. So I'm here to support you with the delivery of all of our languages qualifications and answer your questions, kind of big or small. My contact details can be found on the languages page on our website, and you can email me, call our teaching services team, or book a one-to-one Teams meeting with me. So if you want to know more about my role, I've linked a YouTube video there at the top of the slide. So in this session, we're going to go through some updates and reminders related to each of our qualifications. So I'll start with updates that are relevant to all languages, and then I'll follow up with each qualification in turn to make sure that everyone hears what they need to know to get the year off to a really positive start. So just so I know who we have here, my colleague Edeline's going to put a poll onto the screen in just a second. Can you answer that poll? It's just to give me an idea of who is here, and just select which of our qualifications you are teaching. And if that's multiple of those, please go for that. So we've got a lot of people teaching our new GCSE specifications, so potentially lots of people who are new to Pearson Edexcel. A fair amount of you coming in on GCSE languages there. Just give it a little bit longer. Probably about 20 people about 10, 15 people who've not answered yet, so I'll give you a little longer on that. Once it's been up for a minute, we'll stop. Yes, I did mean GCE A-level, Maria. Yes, I'm sorry about that. I'm not quite sure. It must be a typo when that got put into Zoom. Fair point. Okay, so that's most of you have answered now. That's 49 of the 59 of you. So lots of you teaching GCSE, both our current and the new specification. In fact, I need to stop just calling it current and new, because they're both very current now, aren't they? And then some of you for A-level, some of you for the international GCSE, very small amount of you for ESL, so I won't spend too long on my updates on that, but I will for you, you're the one person here, and the international A-level as well. Okay, so we'll end that poll there. Thank you. That just gives me an idea of where to focus what we're speaking about today. So just shared those results. I'm not sure if you saw that, if that's any interest to you at all. Okay, so we will carry on then. So before we talk about our updates, I just wanted to show you this quick 3-minute video Some of you may know that this summer we hosted an event at the Emirates Stadium. It was all about celebrating languages, and this video is really uplifting, shows a really, really good reaction from our students about language learning, and I thought this was a really nice way for us to get started today, especially whilst there are a few people still arriving. So I'm going to press play on that now. Let me know in the chat if there's any issue with the sound or with seeing this.
We're here at Emirates Stadium today, home of Arsenal Football Club, and we've got schools from all over the UK coming together. We've got guest speakers, we've got activities and workshops, we've even got a talent competition that pupils can engage with. So hopefully they're going to come away from today with lots of memories and hopefully something that's going to make them want to carry on with languages for as long as possible.
I enjoyed today a lot. It was really fun. It was nice seeing like before I knew that there was different cultures and everything, but when they came on the stage and actually presented it, it was way more clear, and they described it and explained it really, really well.
To understand a culture, you're not going to get that through your language, you're going to get it through understanding their language. And I think that's really important because understanding cultures or not understanding cultures is where problems arise. But it's also about creativity, and I work in a creative industry, so I want to be able to understand where people are coming from, what motivates them, and if I could speak a language and be able to break down those barriers, then it's enormously beneficial.
My favourite part was when the lady came in and started singing and dancing, and she invited people onto the stage to dance with her.
Because I communicate through my music. I share, I inform, I teach in my language through my music. I advise through my music. So when you sing in those different languages, it's like somebody hears their language that I can communicate in their language. They feel that interest, they feel interested, and they want to listen.
We decided to put on this event because we've been out launching our new GCSE French, German, Spanish specifications, and we've been saying to people over and over again that language is more than words. It's about culture, it's about connections, it's about communication. And what better way really to kind of put your money where your mouth is than to have an event like this one that really kind of brings all those things together.
I'm excited about studying German because it will broaden my knowledge, and it will broaden my knowledge of culture, and it will make doors that are already open larger, and it will open many other doors.
I think languages are so important because they are your key to unlocking so much more to the world that you're yet to experience. I think people get very, very comfortable in their little bubble that they grow up in. But once you come out of that bubble and explore a little wider, whether that's a new town, city, country, you unlock so many things that perhaps you didn't realise you didn't have. And languages give you that kind of variety, that global view.
Before today, I was like, I didn't really want to do French at all. I was like, I'm not going to try, it's not for me. But after today, I realised what languages can do to you. And I really want to try harder in my French lessons, and I want to do well in my GCSEs and take it further.
It's not easy to learn a language, but when you know how, and you commit to it, and you build those building blocks, and you make those connections in your brain, that's it, you're in.
Okay, so I hope that was a nice way for us to start today. Let me just get rid of that now. Okay, so items related to all qualifications. So hopefully by now you're already aware of these documents and have the knowledge you need about your students' results from this summer. If not, these documents shown on screen now are for you. The first link gives support on our post-results services, such as free access to scripts, clerical checks, reviews of marking, etc. And the other two documents linked here relate to grade boundaries. And as you know, grade boundaries change year on year, depending on the papers and the cohort who sit them. And we use comparable outcomes so that grades are fair on year, meaning the outcomes are broadly the same as previous years. And the transition to pre-pandemic grading is now complete, so that's out of the way for us now. And finally, a reminder that we can't comment on individual and cohort results outside of these services. So where you have concerns, then these services are where you need to turn. When it comes to deadlines, you've got until the 26th of September to apply for post-results services. and the 12th of December for access to scripts. And this access is free, but you will need permission from the candidate to do so. Just spotting a question in the Q&A there. Yes, the presentation should be there for you to download in the resources app. Okay, so that should be there for you to download. So you may or may not be aware of our mocks and marking moderation services. These are paid-for services, and they offer paper-based mocks and some on-screen mocks and moderation services to support your team's understanding of the mark scheme. So the marks are entered into Results Plus for easy access and analysis, and we provide reports and commentary, which are excellent professional development for your team. Perhaps you've used these services and you can share your experiences with others. And I know we've had some really, really positive feedback from where the service is being used across a whole multi-academy trust. They're really pleased with how it helped them improve, both in terms of the students' work and the teachers' knowledge of the requirements as well. I can see my colleague Evelyn's put the link to the slides in the chat for you there. So hopefully we can all see that now. In terms of free resources, we've got a whole host available on our Languages in Life pages, which is scrolling through on the screen now. So we know that you'll want to go beyond the curriculum to inspire your students and show them the relevance of language learning in the real world. The video now playing is taking you through what's available. So our posters can be printed and put up in your classroom with the benefits of language learning. Our blog from Steve Eden about his languages journey, and we saw Steve in that video just now. Languages in the real world with stories that you can share with students. A blog for teachers about breaking down barriers to language learning. And we've got a whole host of stories, Q&A and other articles from people who use languages in their everyday lives. So there are lots of resources, and we hope you'll use these to inspire your students. So I'll just let the video finish going through kind of a preview there of what we've got available. So there's the blog about breaking down barriers coming up now. And when you download the slides that are in the chat, they are linked. So that Languages in Life in the title is linked to this page, so you can find it. So hopefully lots of really relevant things that can inspire your students here, students that they can relate to, that use languages or study languages, and plenty of things to take a look at. Okay, so also free are our permission to speak resources, which are aimed at diversifying the MFL curriculum. Now, if you happen to be on the NCLE National Curriculum for Languages Consortium for Languages Education webinar last night, you would have seen Lisa Pamford, and she was presenting about diversifying the MFL curriculum, and she spent some time looking at these. So this first example that's been going through is about comics. It's got information to inspire your students to see language learning differently, a range of activities in French, Spanish and German. There are vocab activities, grammar, comprehension and more, including links to videos and discussion points. So there's a whole range of these booklets on our website now, including one which will pop up shortly for European Day of Languages, which is of course 2 weeks away today. So we hope that will be really useful for you, as well as a PowerPoint of activities that we've got for European Day of Languages as well. So you can use these in class and as part of extracurricular activities to suit a range of year groups. If you don't mind, I've got another poll coming now, just out of interest really, in terms of who's seen these free resources before. Have you used them? Have you not? Do you intend to use them in future? Just interesting to see. Good, so those of you who've not seen them do want to. A small number of you having used them before. I'm really pleased that I've been able to raise that awareness today, because that's at least 31 of you who are telling me that you didn't know about them and that you will use them in future. You know, we know that for you it's really important to have things that you can use quickly. You know, sometimes you have that situation where you need quick, relevant tasks to give to students, and here these are for you. So we really hope that you find them useful. So a few people that have used them, a few people that knew but haven't, and then a whole host of you who didn't know about them. It's absolutely fine. You know about them now, and hopefully that's something you'll be able to make use of in future. Great, okay, we will carry on then. So just reopen my note. Okay, so moving away from free resources and on to support and community, if only I can make, there we are. So we have an ever-growing group of Pearson Edexcel MFL teachers on Facebook. This is the place to ask questions of each other, clarify issues surrounding your qualifications. So please answer the joining questions if you do request to join this group. I use these to ensure that we're only welcoming teachers into the group so that it remains a safe and private space. So whilst this is the only group currently available, I would be really interested to know which social media platforms you prefer for teaching related content. So there aren't loads of polls, but I am asking you this one more question. Which social networking platforms do you prefer to use for teaching content? Yeah, it's going the way I expected. Yeah, if you're saying other, if you could pop that in the chat for me, that would be really interesting. Facebook is what I expected, so that's absolutely fine. That's great because that's where I think we will see you. LinkedIn, fine. Yep, LinkedIn. I am also on LinkedIn. I didn't list that here actually. I am on LinkedIn. I do regularly post our resources and links there, and you're more than welcome to connect with me on that platform. The photo is the same as it is splashed all over our website, so you'll be able to see that. YouTube as well, fine, thank you. Okay, really interesting. Just for considering how we reach out to you in future. In that case, we will continue. So as you'll know, the majority of our languages qualifications involve a speaking exam. The windows for these can always be found on this carousel icon that you can see here on the main languages page. These change year on year to work around term dates and holidays such as Easter, so please be aware of this and ensure that you check the dates and get your chosen date into the school calendar. So in a moment, I'm going to move on to our first qualification specific section. I'll be moving on to the 2016 GCSE specification. Has anything come up so far in the chat? I don't think there has. So no questions that relate to all qualifications. So I will continue. And I think everything that was in the Q&A is related to resources and that kind of thing. Fine. So I will continue then. So our updates now relate to the 2016 GCSE specification. So to be absolutely clear, this is the specification that finishes for French, German and Spanish this year, but continues for all of our other GCSE languages. So for those of you teaching or assisting students with the other languages, this specification will remain the same. We've not been given any notice at this stage that this GCSE would change, okay? So we have a range of training on offer, and you can always search our offer via our Pearson Professional Development Academy. So you can search that at any time. Coming before half term, we have our exams insight sessions. These sessions are designed to go further than our usual exam feedback events that you might have attended in the past. These are to support you to get the best from your students. They're free to attend and they will last 2 hours. Also during this half term, we have our skill development training sessions of reading, listening, writing, speaking, grammar and translation. And those are listed on screen. And after half term, we have our Get Exam Fit training for the writing papers. So these are French, Spanish and German, and we have a higher and a foundation session. Of course, these are all free to attend. And finally, we have the conducting the speaking exam training. So these are usually repeated in the spring too, but we start them in November and December. So for those of you wanting a refresh, in fact, it's always important that departments have a refresh on these trainings every year to ensure that we are all doing exactly what we need to do to get the best from our students. And also, those of you who are new to teaching or new to the specification, perhaps having switched exam boards this year, because I know a number of you have, then those are for you to attend to. So on the topic of speaking, following some teacher feedback last year, we've now made our CS2 forms into a spreadsheet format. So we hope that this is an improvement and it makes it easier for you to complete and rearrange these as needed. So these should be completed in candidate number order, not the order in which your candidates were examined. That's the same as it always has been, but it's worth reminding. And for French, Spanish and German, this is of course the last series that this particular form will be needed, and from 2026, procedures will be different. You may have seen earlier in the year that I requested feedback on delivering home, heritage and community languages. I really appreciated all the feedback I had from you all via email and lots of one-to-one Teams meetings as well. It really gave me an opportunity to learn a lot about your best practice and how you'd like to be supported with delivering these languages in the future. So as a start to this, I've created a range of guides for teachers, exams officers and students, and they're supported by a playlist of guidance videos on YouTube, which appears to have changed to that slide for me already. I will just pop back. There we are. We've taken on board the feedback and we're looking into further support resources such as the crib sheets and question banks, potentially an asynchronous training course that could be used when employing external teacher examiners. So I really look forward to being able to share these with you when they're available. As I mentioned just now, there's also a YouTube playlist available for students and parents and schools. These are intended to help students and parents understand the qualification and more specifically the speaking exam. The video for schools discusses best practice on how to offer these exams, and lots of my learning for that came from the conversations I had with you earlier on back in the summer term. So before I check the questions, I'd like to ask you one more question myself. I think this is the last poll. I'd just like to know, does your centre offer GCSEs in home, heritage and community languages? And who coordinates them? So yes, but the MFL department does, or the MFL department's not involved, perhaps your exams officer coordinates these. Okay, that's a lot of you in MFL departments who are coordinating these. I totally understand that that does often put extra pressure on you as a department. So if there's anything beyond what I've spoken about that you'd be interested in having and support that you'd like, I'd really, really like to hear from you. I'll recap my contact details later, but anything that you'd like to feedback about these exams is really important to us, especially as French, German and Spanish move on and these remain on the current specification. Right, there's about 47 out of the 65 of you answering that, so we'll move on in just a second. So I'll share this with you actually, because what's really, really positive to see is that in many schools, these languages are being offered. Because of course, this accreditation is really important to some students. Getting that recognition of their additional language learning is really important. So that is fantastic to see so many schools offering it and schools wishing to. Now, those of you who've said you'd like to in future, please do get in touch with me if you'd like any support with that and take a look at the documents that I've uploaded as well. Anyone wishing to book a one-to-one Teams appointment with me, look at these, I'd be more than happy to do that. Okay, so we will continue then. Thank you for that. I do really appreciate the response to these polls. It's really informative and actually hopefully good for you to see what other schools are doing too. So moving on now to our GCE A-levels. So currently on offer for A-level, we have a conducting the speaking exam training. We have this both online and like an anytime access and a scheduled version. And these are of course free. Any training that is essential for delivering our qualifications is free. So we have one page training session, which is a film and literature teaching and learning training. This is 2 hours long and it is scheduled for the start of October by the looks of it. The only major changes related to GCE A-level this year are in Chinese and Japanese. Now, I didn't ask earlier, so maybe pop it in the chat if you are. I'm wondering if we've got any Chinese and Japanese teachers on here today. So linked on the screen is a news item which explains the changes to the specification and links through to the specification as well. And there's also a walkthrough video guide. So this change was made due to a change in the subject content, and that was a change made by the Department for Education and Ofqual following consultation. But this time we're not expecting any amendments or reform to other languages. That is a question I get quite often. So yes, change in Chinese and Japanese, but nothing else expected at this time. So before we cover the international qualifications, we do have our new GCSE specification to look at. So I'm going to go over a brief overview of the training that's available and show you a great new resource that we have that brings together absolutely all of the links that you might need, because there are a lot of them. So before I move on to this GCSE 2024 specification, are there any questions? Not so far as I'm seeing, but if anybody likes to type any now, you're more than welcome to. If not, I will continue. I can see one question being asked about, will you be able to send the recording? Yes, the recording will be sent to attendees after. Okay, so no questions appearing. In that case, I will continue. I feel like the questions may come during this section. So for those of you who haven't had a chance to attend any of our Getting Ready to Teach training, we have a final few sessions available. These are likely to be the last of these now. We did an awful lot of them last year, and hopefully the vast majority of you were able to attend those. There are, of course, recorded versions available on YouTube too. This one on screen now is for anyone to attend, but is especially useful for those changing from another exam board. These are the Spotlight on Writing training, and they are designed to help you get to grips with our mark scheme. And this is on offer twice this term. So this is useful for anybody. If you're a current Pearson Edexcel school, you may find this useful. But those of you who are currently with a different board and are moving to us for this new specification, we designed this specifically with you in mind to ensure that you have a smooth transition into understanding how our mark schemes work. In a few weeks' time, we have this effective phonics teaching training, and now that's taking a more central role in the GCSE assessment. It's a really important one for us to provide for you. We've always had a phonics training on offer, but this is an extended version, much more geared towards this new GCSE specification. And finally, in terms of dates for your diary, we've got 3 drop-in sessions. So these are new. This is not something we've done before, but these sessions will be hosted by me and supported by other members of our team. We ask that you try and submit questions in advance so that we can ensure that we're best prepared. And we know that this first term of teaching may raise all sorts of questions for you about this new specification. So these sessions are intended to provide you with the support that you need and the opportunity to ask those questions. Now, of course, you can contact us at any time, but these sessions will be a chance to hear other people's questions and get to ask your own. So we've got 1 a month between October and December, and depending on how those go, we'll decide if we need to continue that into the spring as well, of course. So although these register now links don't work, the drop-in link at the top of the screen does. So we now have so much support available for these new specifications, it really wouldn't be possible to go over it all right now. So we've collected all of the links that you might need in one place. So you can see in this guide, we've got resources for planning, like the sample assessments, schemes of work, vocabulary lists, teaching resources like the read aloud and dictation activities, training and events that I've outlined already, exam support, wider free resources, and switch support for those of you who are new to Pearson Edexcel. Finally, at the end, you can see my contact details for anything else that you might need. So on each page, we've also signposted what's coming soon, and this document will be constantly updated. So it's worth just accessing it via the link rather than downloading it, so that you're always looking at the most up-to-date version. And talking of things suddenly becoming out of date, since I even wrote these slides, we have more resources ready for you. So we've recently uploaded a frequently asked questions document that has all of the questions we've been asked at Getting Ready to Teach events and through our preparation. I'm just going to take that back for a minute. And through our preparation for this new specification. So that's now online. And as well as that, we were requested to provide a vocabulary document that covers the key vocabulary. So there's something like 25 keywords for each one of the subjects from the specification, and those have been collated in one place. So it's not, by all means, it's not a full list, but it's an editable list of the keywords, because some of you requested that you'd like that for your students. So that again is on the qualifications page on our website. So it really does demonstrate how things move very quickly, even from the time that I submitted these slides at the end of last week. So the final thing to add on the new qualification is this. It's a reminder that you can now apply to examine with us for the 2026 exam series. Some of you may have already heard that we are offering this proactive associate friendly badge, an accreditation that you can use for performance reviews, evidence of CPD, potentially job applications. And this accreditation acknowledges the development activities that you're taking part in to prepare for the new specification. So those of you who already examine with us, will have been contacted about this already. Many of you have signed up. And those of you who have perhaps moved over to Pearson Edexcel or are moving in time for that first assessment in 2026, if you've registered with us to mark, you should hear about this in the near future. So I haven't seen anything come up in the chat or in the Q&A related to GCSE 2024 questions. That is what I've allowed a little bit of time for now. Clearly, we all want to get home on time, so I will continue. So finally, to our international qualifications. I cover our languages, international GCSEs, A-levels, and English as a second language. So that is a lot of our qualifications. This term, we've got lots of getting ready to teach training for our qualifications. So if this is your first time delivering international GCSEs and international A-levels, this training here on the screen is what you should sign up for. For those of you teaching English as a second language, which I know from our poll at the start isn't loads of you, but there are some more attendees since then, you'll be aware we have a new specification, and this will be assessed for the first time in 2025, which is the same time the outgoing specification will be done for the last. So it's an overlap series. The new qualification is unitised, which means if candidates wish to resit specific skills in subsequent exam series, they'll be able to do so. I've linked the full guide to this qualification on the screen. So we know that exemplars are really important in supporting students with their preparation for these exams, and there are currently some gaps within our provision in the international qualifications. So for English as a second language, the new specification exemplars are coming very soon, and we're also working on these for other international qualifications. And finally, there are some vacancies in our international examiner team. So just to make you aware of these for Arabic and English as a second language, please do take a look if you're interested. And there is a separate link there if you are applying from abroad. There's not much left for me to say, other than a really big thank you for attending today. I hope you've had all the updates you need about our qualifications. I will keep an eye on the chat and the Q&A to see if there's anything remaining to address, which there doesn't appear to be at the moment. So like I told you at the start, if there's no questions, it means we get finished quicker. So as per usual, you can contact me via email. You can book a Teams meeting with me, or you can give our teaching services team a call for their support. And if you haven't already, please make sure you're already signed up to my monthly updates so that you can stay fully up to date. All the training that I've mentioned today and more can be found on our Professional Development Academy. And thank you for joining me, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. So in the chat, I'm saying, where are the resources you showed us? They are linked on the slide. So if you go onto the slides that Adeline has just given you a link to again, you can access the link straight through to those resources on most of the slides. Anything you can't find, drop me an email, teachinglanguages@pearson.com. Lovely, thank you very much for coming. Please do let me know if there's anything you need. You can contact me. I'm going to sit here and keep looking on the at the screen. If you are already an examiner, you shouldn't need to apply to examine again. You can get in contact with our associate help desk, and they will be able to send you anything we're talking about, or have a look at our vacancies on the website, or if you drop me an email, Montserrat, drop me an email to Teaching Languages and I'll get back to you if I know what link it is you're talking about. Okay, so it's not a problem, just send me an email. Thank you, everyone. I'm not seeing more questions coming up. I will wait as people are dropping off and messages are popping through, but I'm pretty sure it looks like we're there.